Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Firstly, I'd like to thank the organisers for inviting me to speak at the forum and also for the opportunity to spend some time in this fantastic city. My name is Peter Goodwin and I'm the co-founder and managing director of Co-Create. For over the last 10 years, I have been designing and implementing paper cup collection and recycling schemes. And today I just wanted to share some of the issues we faced, how we overcame those issues, and some of our achievements, which will then lead us on to our latest project, the Cup Collective, which is a European-wide initiative to increase paper cup recycling to an industrial scale. But I want to start by first introducing Co-Create. As it says on the slide, we design, implement, and manage collaborative programs to collect, recycle, and repurpose materials into new functional products. And our work has almost exclusively focused on food and beverage packaging used within the hospitality and food service sector. So effectively, we are systems designers, creating solutions for recycling or reuse that are both operationally and commercially viable and that deliver the lowest environmental impact. So where did our journey with paper cups start? Well, it was actually when we were trying to design solutions for plastic packaging. Every meeting we went to, both businesses and users were asking us whether paper cups could be recycled, whether paper cups were being recycled, and so we thought it was worth taking a look at because there was a huge amount of confusion in the industry at the time. I think the industry was aware of the problem, but activity was limited to small working groups who didn't really have the operational understanding or at the time the required appetite for change. So Simply Cups was launched in 2014 as the UK and arguably the world's first dedicated paper cup recycling programme, both to address the confusion but also to provide a service for those wanting to guarantee the recycling of the paper cups that they were using. The subsequent success of the Simply Cup scheme was based on overcoming some key challenges, as we'll go into now. The first challenge was to ensure that the material we collected could be recycled locally in the UK. It was evident from an early stage that waste collectors were not going to commit to collecting paper cups without any long-term offtake agreement with a recycler. So Simply Cups only became viable when in 2013, ACE UK, or the Alliance for Beverage Carton Manufacturers, confirmed that their new UK beverage carton recycling facility could also recycle paper cups. And whilst we didn't receive any payment for the material that we provided them, this was still a more cost-effective solution than disposal via landfill or incineration. And it also, importantly, ensured that we'd have a recycling outcome. Now, given the subsequent decline in traditional routes for feedstock for fibre road processors, paper cups have and are becoming much more attractive. Despite increased pulping times, the high quality of the virgin fibres in paper cups has significant value, meaning that there are now 4 facilities in the UK that are paying a market rate for baled used paper cups and a number of other outlets opening up across Europe. But whilst a zero gate fee meant that there was a way of saving money not disposing as general waste, the process would have been a lot more expensive if we collected material from our customers that was contaminated. And so one of our biggest successes was the design and creation of a modular tube collection bin that virtually eradicated contamination over the night. And that goes to show that the public are willing to recycle if you give them the availability to recycle and you make the infrastructure simple and easy to use. And to scale operations sufficiently, it was also important that we saved our customers costs. The majority of food and beverage outlets we were dealing with were paying for waste disposal by volume, meaning that the opportunity to collect cups stacked as opposed to loose gave around a 5-to-1 volume reduction and therefore, saved them money. So whilst Simply Cups did not answer every question, it certainly started to answer questions, and there were a number of successes, as illustrated by the following video.
This is an organisation which is going out there and exploding these myths.
Who'd have thought the world of coffee cups would be so baffling? This is a nightmare.
Start of a new recycling program called Simply Cups.
What we're asking people to do is to put their cup into the tube here.
We started Simply Cups in 2014 really to provide a solution for the billions of paper cups that were currently either being sent to landfill or incineration.
So, coming on to the present day, whilst there are a number of successful local schemes across Europe, for example, like Simply Cups, it was evident that there wasn't yet mass market participation and that the recovery rates of paper cups are still relatively low across Europe. About 2 years ago, we were approached by Huhtamäki and Stora Enso with a brief to increase paper cup recycling across Europe to an industrial scale. And what we define by industrial scale is in excess of 5,000 tonnes of material collected each year. Subsequent discussions resulted in the launch of the Cup Collective in September of last year, and our first city-based activation in Brussels in December. A project which we're also looking at widening the scope of circularity to include sustainable logistics using an e-cargo bike for first mile collections in the city centre. But whilst we'll consider direct activity in certain cities and locations in order to start and stimulate further activity, our role is really to be non-operational. Therefore, fundamentally, to co-create a viable business model to support and develop existing paper cup collection schemes or to facilitate the creation of new paper cup collection schemes. And from our conversations over the last 6 months across the industry, I think there's now a realisation that working in isolation is not the solution to what is now a common issue. Many brands are actually now actively seeking to collaborate, and actually it's the role of the Cup Collective to bring a number of these major brands together so that we can work as one. Evidently, if an on-the-go paper cup recycling solution on the high street is going to work, better off that a consumer can go into any shop and recycle their paper cup, as opposed to one or two. And we've heard it before in previous presentations. Data is fundamental to better systems design, and it's no different here. Not only to ensure that future policies are made from an informed position, but also in certain countries like the UK and Netherlands, data is going to be required to comply with legislation for the continuation of the use of single-use paper cups by organisations. And whilst Simply Cups previously worked on estimated sack weights, the Cup Collective is operating a sack tracking system that can not only provide real-time data on the collection process, but can provide an exact weight per sack per customer site. So this not only ensures the credibility of data for all our users, but also it ensures the credibility of data consolidated at both a country and at a European level. I think it's evident that the current perception of paper cups is that they're waste and litter. And I think this is an underlying reason in the shift by policymakers towards reusables. However, when collected, paper cups can be an extremely valuable part of a circular economy. And specifically when paper cups are made back into graphic paper, they can be used a further 25 times. And whilst the current direction of travel from policymakers across Europe is towards reuse, we do need to be mindful of a number of the unintended consequences, particularly when considering on-the-go scenarios. And I think in reality, the answer should not be a choice between recycling and reuse. The reality is that we need both. And the decision should be made in the context of the product's use, so that it's operationally and commercially viable, but also has the lowest environmental impact. On the subject of LCAs, a study was released last week, to which a more detailed video can be found on nosilverbullet.eu. But here's the view in terms of the case for recycling versus reuse.
Consumers' experience of quick service restaurants could change fundamentally, and for the worse. The study highlights both the risk of longer wait time from slowed down operations and the burden of locating returning stations to bring back reusable packaging. And it's not just consumer convenience that will be impacted. Costs are likely to go up too. The study suggests that added labor, energy, and material costs from washing would lead to significant cost increases, and reusable return deposit schemes may negatively impact consumer perceptions of affordability. Go to nosilverbullet.eu to see why only a mix of packaging solutions will provide a sustainable future.
So I think from that, it's clear to see why there is a lot of confusion, and whilst everyone would like a simple answer, there is no simple answer to this. It's very context-based. And actually, if you go on to the full video, you can actually see a 4-minute version which talks about a number of the environmental consequences as well. So, thank you for your time. I hope that the content of the presentation was of interest. Unfortunately, I'm going to be shooting back to the airport to get back to the UK fairly shortly, but here are my contact details, and should anyone want to get in touch, happy to have a discussion. I think the key thing is the Cup Collective is now active across Europe, and we'd be delighted to speak to anyone who's interested in participating and understanding how we can support paper cup recycling across Europe. Thank you.